Welcome to Cinema 5D on the Couch, the talk show with filmmakers and industry leaders. Brought to you by G Technology, Rode Microphones, Movidium, Film Convert, and FNV.
Welcome to another episode of Cinema 5D on the Couch. Thanks to our sponsors G Technology, Rode Microphones, Movidium.com, Film Convert, and FNV. We are happy to welcome another round of guests. Today we have filmmaker Frank Mierbach, Lawrence Richards, also filmmaker, and CEO of Glidecam, David Stevens.
Thank you for having me.
How are you guys? How's everything?
Everything's good.
Let's talk a little bit about your projects first, Frank. What have you been working on lately?
We just finished, actually, after a lot of time, because it was privately financed, our movie Real Buddy. We just finished the 5.1 channel mix here in Cologne, by the way, yesterday. And so this will go to festivals. Then we are in preparation of a lot of other projects, among them a mini-series in Japan. 2 documentaries actually about Japan. High quality ones to be shot with a red again, and we just finished Snow Wars, which is on air right now, about the fight against avalanches in British Columbia, BC.
So you mostly shoot documentaries, right, for TV?
Not exactly, but the last couple of months, years, yes. It just so happened, yeah.
Okay, and most of the stuff on Red Epic.
Yeah, we started one, when the Red One came out, it was actually for us a dream coming true, because I really hate the ENG stuff, look, that kind of things. And then eventually, I guess it was in 2007 at IBC, where they showed this little clip in 4K, and I was sitting in the front row going like, whoa, where do I have to sign? And then I signed, and then I waited. I waited for an extremely long time, 1.5 years actually. And then the camera body eventually arrived, but without anything else that was supposed to be attached there. But eventually that came in too. And then we shot our first film with it, also in British Columbia. It was a documentary about logging, helicopter logging in Canada. And it was a heavy beast, but the pictures look really gorgeous. And that's where we started this love affair. And then came the Epic and so on and so on. And since then we're almost exclusively on Red. With the addition of Blackmagic here and there, because they really match pretty good if you are in the grading stage then.
So Lawrence, have you shot with a Red recently?
I've shot a couple of things myself with a Red, mainly documentary stuff, but recently I directed a commercial where I got a DOP, a friend of mine, to do the camera work. My original dream when I went to film school was to direct more, but somehow I slipped into doing camera work because it gave me more work working on other projects, and it wasn't like I was coming up with script ideas all the time, so I kind of came to camera through directing. But yeah, I've ended up doing professionally, I guess, 80% camera work, 20% directing at the moment. But
what kind of projects are you working on?
Well, the commercial I just mentioned was for a big newspaper in Germany. It's not out yet, but what else? I do quite a lot for TV, so because I live quite next to Mainz, so we've got ARD, ZDF, Arte, do quite a lot of like interviews for them. Normally C300 plus a mix of a 5D Mark III or so. That stuff I shoot myself. So yeah, I do run and gun stuff on my own a lot. I do quite a lot of corporate stuff. Individuals in my company most of it's corporate. Some of it's documentary, and then we do like once or twice a year we manage to do like a nice music video project or maybe a short film project. I guess what I'm proud of most is a film I shot for charity, where we went from, we started in Germany, went to Dubai, LA, Cape Town, and I'm trying to think what the 5th place was. I think it was Singapore, yeah. And I shot that all on my own, 5D Mark III, all my Canon L lenses just in a bag, just me on an airplane, plus a producer, but he has no technical skills. He was just, paying for the project, basically. So it was pro bono. I didn't earn any money on it, and we went to various charity projects around the world and basically promoted them, and also gave them $1,000 each that we'd collected before we went on the trip. And I'm pretty proud of that project, and we're screening it in LA in October, so that's going to be exciting.
Nice.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
So, David, you guys started Glidecam.
Correct, yeah.
I guess you are involved with a lot of filmmakers like those two guys.
Sure.
Was that one of the reasons why you started the whole company, or?
Actually, back in 91, 92, my brother was doing a little feature film that he wrote, direct, produced, everything, called The Dead Time. And he had, shooting on a little film camera, had purchased a different brand and didn't find it to be as good as he would hope when he was running fast through supermarkets and so on. So he ended up saying, I could come up with a different version. So he ended up coming up with a wooden product. So the very first Glidecam was made of wood. It looked really slick. He did great brochures, but a lot of returns in the early days. And so about a year after that, he contacted me and said, hey, would you be interested? I was in the banking, financing world. I didn't know anything about camera stabilizers or anything, but he said, you have the world, and do you know anything about Steadicam? I'm like, I have no idea. I researched it, go to the library and look at microfiche, because there is no internet. I mean, we had Glidecam in 94, but nobody cared. I mean, did you have an internet in 94? I don't know. Before that. So it was microfiche, and I found a couple of dealers, one in Texas and one in New York. And so we partnered, made it into aluminum, and that's where it started. So we started with just 2 dealers, and now we have dealers all over the world, and our stuff is very high quality. In the beginning, it was very crude and rudimentary. We had a lot of slack. Once the internet did get forums, there was a lot of grief on those forums about Glidecam and their $4,000 body systems, but they worked 95 to 100% as accurate as the slick stuff that was out there. Because if you're a good operator, the gimbal and everything that it had was suffice to make it work. So
yeah.
Nice.
So the whole stabilizer market is actually a quite old industry. It's now en vogue again with newer stabilizers, I guess. But back then, you were probably the ones who just It
was just big body rigs back then. I mean, nothing handheld really. We had them, but cameras weren't. I mean, small cameras were not any good. So. People were shooting film and Betacam, and so we sold a lot of those big body rigs. And obviously everyone knows the only other competition was Steadicam. They were like 50,000. We were 4,000 or 5,000.
Oh.
So.
And you also started going into the smaller rigs first, I guess.
Yes, we started out with a little Glidecam, just called the Glidecam, and that little wooden one sold a little bit, and then we made it into metal and it started selling well. Mainly because of customer service. I mean, the stuff was not as good as it could be because we didn't have the finances, but we had the customer service. We were all over you with technical, whatever it took to make you comfortable. And so we got a name. And, colleges and students and independent filmmakers with no money, they were all over Glidecam because it was the first option. We didn't require you to do training. Even though we offered it, it wasn't required, so you weren't forced to spend, say, a few $1,000 more to train. So it got us a real grassroots recognition that Glidecam's cool and they're friendly and not pretentious, whatever. So
I guess you really rode on that first wave of small cameras as well, right? I mean, like mini DV cameras before, long before DSLR.
We didn't have monitors on our unit, and everyone said it's crazy. Then flip-out monitors became something on cameras because we didn't want to wire it and have that because there's so much technical problems with that back then. The monitors were terrible in the daylight, so we were lucky that we had monitors coming out on cameras. And then the DSLR craze made us all laugh. And, just like Canon, we were selling Glidecams crazy amounts when DSLR started shooting video. And now it's just the viral world of YouTube and everything that's just making little cameras and our small stuff continually fly.
Nice. Are there any particular projects that you can think of that you're particularly proud of that they were shot with the Glidecam system?
Well, I mean, the biggest stuff today is what Devin Graham's done. The viral videos he's done with a little Glidecam HD 4000, and he uses a red. He also uses the 5D Mark IIs. He has one video where he's following a violin girl in an ice castle. It's got over 100 million views on YouTube. It was number 8 in the world for any video, whether it be a puppy dog or a little kid laughing. It was number 8. I think he's like the 6th biggest earner on YouTube now. And he says, because of Glidecam, when I first did weddings after college, people were like, wow, how smooth that is. So he's given back to us a lot, gives us all our videos that we can use. I mean, he makes a lot of money on his stuff today. But he says it's, a real nice thing between Glidecam and him that's made it all happen. So
nice.
Cool. It's nice, real nice.
Yeah. And on feature films too?
There's some, but, we sell through dealers throughout the world, so we don't know as much about end users as we would like. So there's been some feature films, but nothing of grandiose size. Mick Waugh did some movies recently, and I can't remember the name right now. It's like A Hot Bath and a Stiff Drink or something was a feature with some well-known actors. Another guy did one in a silo, but No, that market has still been more to the high-end pro rigs. A lot of the guys, they get Glidecams, they become really good, then they go on and they have $100,000, they buy a big rig, and they use that to show up for the feature films. So, yeah.
So how big is the range of rigs that you offer? I mean, I think you can use really, really small cameras and up to...
Yeah, we have 7 handhelds. Nobody has more than 1 or 2. We have 7 handhelds from a little iGlide, which, we're not really a consumer product. We're pro, even though the iGlide, you get a GoPro guy who's still shooting something he's being paid for. But we have 4 colors, and we're seeing if some people will buy it for fun. And it's happened a bit. Maybe it will happen more down the road. We have an iPhone adapter for that. So, but we go all the way up. We actually just launched 2 new systems, an X30 and an X45. The X45 handles a 45-pound camera and up to 70 pounds on the sled. So even though that market's slowed down, we've come back into it with these affordable high-end rigs. $18,900 for that rig, which is amazing for what it is, for the quality of it, because it's as good as anything out there that will handle, 3D setups, whatever, anything you could throw at it.
Yeah.
So we go from the tiniest to the biggest. And there's nothing we can't fly, really.
So Lawrence and Frank, do you use any kind of camera stabilization on your shoot?
Well, in fact, we just tested the Ronin the other day, I think last week. One of the first ones out on the market with the Epic, and it took quite a while to set it all up.
Yeah.
But once it was running, then it's extremely heavy.
Especially
it
with the
works
Epic.
great. I used to do Steadicam a lot a couple of years ago, and with a big Master Series thing.
Okay, yeah.
But I'm not too much into it because eventually it gets on
it's a
your
lot of
back and
work.
stuff like that. I think the Ronin will as well, even though it's great. It's just a small,
Right.
But you have to have your camera on it ready to shoot. So you have to have at least 2 camera bodies, because to change is really a complicated
Right.
task. Other than that, I mean, recently I've been using the Blackmagic Pocket, so that is probably something where you offer a system as well,
Sure,
right?
sure.
So that is an ideal combination because it
Right.
offers such a great quality at such an affordable price.
Right.
And we use the Pocket mainly for shoots where we aren't actually allowed to go. Like for a couple of months we were in Syria shooting.
Okay.
And you can't have a big red
Sure, sure.
on your shoulder or something like that.
Right.
But it's good. It's I think it's a story. It's about the story that you're trying to tell. To choose the right tools. It's not about you not having or not having certain things at
Correct,
your
yeah.
disposal.
Yeah, it's a
If
tool.
it requires something like a Glidecam, Steadicam, or a gimbal, you use it. If
Yeah.
not, I think sometimes if you can afford the time, it's sometimes better to set up a real dolly rig, a heavy dolly, or a
Sure.
camera crane, or nowadays we use drones. That's also
My
an
brother
option,
has a
so-
dolly that he bought from Germany recently.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I have
mean,
a 30-year-old Panther or something, and
Yeah.
we still use it. If there is time to set it up, it's great.
You want
It's
that dead solid,
different aesthetics actually.
Absolutely,
But
sure.
if you shoot in the forest like you did on the film that you introduced on the size booth, I think that it's ideal to have a gimbal, I guess, or something like a Steadicam or Glidecam.
Now they have mounts that put Ronins on Glidecams and Steadicams.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
they want
on cars,
which is
it's
very
great on
complicated,
cars and
really.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
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 Lawrence, do you work
I have
with those as
I have
well?
an HD 2000. Yeah, I use them every now and again. But I wouldn't say
Are
I
you
use them on a
sponsored,
daily
by the way?
basis. No, no,
I was gonna say you
no,
both
no.
own Steadicam, my boy.
I use them for the odd shot that I might need to add into an image film, but I'm not a Steadicam operator now. So if I really wanted some really nice steady shots, I'd get someone who's an expert at that.
Yeah, I also have a 4000. I win.
Sometimes
It's
use
a
it.
tool, like all of them. Like he said, everything is a tool. If you need it, you need it. But it's good,
Yeah,
to, have
exactly,
it, good to
yeah.
have it in your kit.
It really depends on the story. It always
Yeah, sure.
what are you trying to tell and what are the best tools.
Absolutely.
So David, I guess you expected this question coming, but all this craze about handheld gimbals since the Freefly movie first came out.
Unbelievable, yeah.
So what do you think about that, and what did it do to your business, and where do you think people are just
Yeah.
going crazy about these, whereas they could still, I think a lot of the stuff they're showing could still be achieved with a mechanical stabilizer as well, right?
Right. I mean,
So
Garrett
the-
Brown said the only thing the Ronin or those do that his rigs can't do, which is Glidecam, is go from, say, high mode to low mode in one shot, which is very cool. Otherwise, you have to do a big rotating head or something that's a lot more money. I mean, my management guys came to me all panicky, like, oh my goodness, there's some other brands have cut their cost in half because they're getting so upset about China taking their business. And all these gimbals are out, these brushless motor gimbals, And so we need to get involved with other companies and we need to do everything. I'm like, relax, it's a complicated thing. It's not easy. It's shaky if you don't have it balanced correctly. You have to program it, as you said, for each weight. And You know, we get them in from people who say, hey, we would love you to, you know, look at this, test it, and if you want it, we'll brand it with you because you have good market reach around the world. And then what we do, we're like, it's, you know, it's got technical problems that we don't want to be repairing them constantly.
Yeah.
So if you get one, it's fine. But if you have, say, thousands out there, and it's a guy in Hong Kong that's pissed off and wants you overnighting parts the next day, you know, it can be a real interference. Our stuff is so bulletproof. I mean, we have less than 1% repair rate. Some days we have not one repair in the company for the whole world. I mean, it's an easygoing life to be a non-electrical company. I mean, we do have monitors and cables, but everything's hardwired, so it doesn't really pull apart. So I've taken Movi and I've taken Ghost and some other brands, you know, no-name brands, just to see if we could refine them. And right now we're staying away from it. Let them all have that market. There's like 50 out there now. It's amazing how many there are. And it hasn't really affected our business. I mean, why, I'm not sure. Maybe just because the market's exploding to the point where it can take those technologies and our technology and what else is coming along, and still there's so many people looking for stabilizers.
I guess it's a different tool. It's just
it's a different tool.
What you need it for, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that you mentioned that the low mode to high mode thing is probably the only thing that you can do with a brushless gimbal that you can't do easily with a Glidecam, for example? I found that, you know, shooting out of a car with a lot of vibration also makes it quite, you know, is quite easy with a brushless gimbal.
That's true.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
true. Yeah.
So
I mean, you can shoot with a Glidecam out of a car too.
yeah, but I think I'm not so experienced with a Glidecam,
Right.
but I'm not sure if it would take all of these vibrations away.
I mean, it does, but if you have a bigger camera, maybe a RED or something, you may want to look at something else. We also do a lot of hard mounts, you know, like operators are hanging in and out of vehicles a lot of times. So yeah, I've seen where they pass it through a car.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
actually a really good shot.
That's
You couldn't
cool.
do that with a body rig.
Yeah.
You
I
can
mean,
put
I
it on a rope and just,
Right.
that's also,
Oh,
or
yeah.
under a helicopter, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is certainly an
Yeah.
advantage for that.
I mean, helicopters to me look like they're more of a danger in some regards because I look at the DJI booth and how they can do everything a crane can do.
Yeah.
They can also come into the
Yeah.
room and look at us and see and hang out. I mean, I guess you have to get rid of the noise and have batteries, but they can interview and then follow us upstairs and chase us outside.
That
and
is
everything
really
else.
weird. We tested that one
So
as
that-
well.
that
That
is,
is the Phantom 2, and you just
right.
put it in the air and you
Yeah.
can hit it like this, and it
Right.
just goes.
It's just
and
dealing with the
directly
FAA
back
right
into
now.
position, and
Yeah.
that probably combined with a new GoPro is probably a very good
It
team.
is, yeah.
Yeah, they're good fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you're saying,
And they're
sound is an
cheap.
issue though.
Yeah,
it's
sound is
totally
an
cheap.
issue, right?
Yeah.
I
Sound
mean,
is an
I don't
issue.
shoot, so
Yeah.
you have used it. And you have
No,
to get rid of-
we tried it, and I was very impressed by it. I have to say. I mean, for that kind of money,
Yeah.
you don't need. You know, if you
Yeah.
put a red Epic under an octocopter, you have to spend
Yeah,
lots
it's a
of
big
money,
money.
and these are harder to fly.
Right.
With that thing, GPS controlled, you just put it in the air, and
Yeah.
that's it. If you lose the connection, it lands
Comes back,
automatically.
yeah.
If the
Awesome.
battery's empty, it touches down smoothly without any problems. It's really, and that thing costs like, I don't know, $800
Yeah,
or something.
exactly.
It's- I
What
mean,
is it? What is the rules in Europe for flying them?
It depends on the
I
country.
think it's the weight. I mean, we started to do some research, and I was told that as soon as you go above 5 kilograms, then you are obliged to get all kinds of permits. But that thing is still consumer grade. And
Right.
you can always
It's a
pretend like you
hobbyist,
don't
yeah.
know, right? Oh, it's just a GoPro. I have no idea what I'm doing here, so it's just a hobby. So that is probably
Yeah.
the advantage. You can go stealth. It's just a little case, ready to fly out of the box.
In New York, there was one that almost took out a police helicopter, though.
Okay,
If it goes in the back propeller, it takes
Oh.
out a whole airplane.
Yeah.
I mean, a
It
helicopter.
is dangerous. You have to. I think they programmed the GPS. You can program it on an iPad actually.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And you can say go there,
Yeah.
there at this height and
Yeah.
come back, and it avoids automatically. You can program points within a dangerous area like an airport or military
Right, right.
base or something like that. So that is pre-programmed. But other than that, is of course it's
Yeah.
dangerous. You can always.
But
go
there are
wrong.
different rules for different countries in
US
in
is-
Europe. I mean, we're based in Austria, and they really have strict rules since
They do.
January 1st, 2014, this
Mhm.
year. So right now, it took a lot of those guys out of the business, basically.
Right.
And now you have to have a permit for each one of those drones, and it has to be,
Yeah.
checked out by I don't know some
Right.
institution, and you have to get a permit for each one of those. So
I think eventually that laws will come out. New laws.
That's
Yeah.
what they were
Because
doing in
it's
the
a
US
new
right now.
situation for
Mhm.
the lawmakers.
Right.
Because it's never been there before. You
Right.
know.
But
And I
isn't it
think-
that in Germany you actually have to have a permit to fly up? I thought.
I don't know. As far as I know, it's just a matter of
it's
weight.
commercial,
But
I think you
yeah,
definitely
or
do, yeah.
commercial or not, and
Yeah,
there are
yeah.
a few tricks, I guess.
In the U.S., Sony and all those big studios won't let them fly at all now because of liability. They just don't want it.
Okay.
So
in the States, I guess, it's
yeah,
because
all the
you can
studios
sue
said
people for like
no drones. People have been hit in the face. Their noses
Yeah.
have been cut.
Yeah.
They don't need to have that hassle on their big budgets. But the FAA is looking at it to make you a light. You have to get a pilot license eventually
Yeah.
or something.
It's
You got
probably
to do
not
something.
a bad idea
No.
to prove that you're capable of
Otherwise, there'll
flying
be
this thing.
thousands of them buzzing around your head.
Yeah.
First time we flew ours in our office, all the paperwork just went all over the
Yeah.
room. I
Oh,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, I
And
bought.
it's a spy tool as well. I mean, if you're
That's what
into
happened.
that,
People
you go
have been
just
peeping
in
out the
other
windows.
people's balconies on the 6th floor and so look what they're
I
doing.
did the same thing. I bought the DJI Phantom, the first one, not knowing that it's basically useless if you use it without a gimbal
Yeah.
because the vibration is so bad.
Yeah.
And I flew it once in the office, as stupid as I was, destroying my buddy Sebastian's frame. It's like,
Oh,
and then I landed, and that was it. I think since then it's on the shelf.
I mean, they're fast. If you really go full throttle,
Oh,
they
yeah.
go like almost
I've
700
flown them,
meters,
yeah,
like
yeah.
bam. It's really, wow. I mean, technology, right?
yeah, very much so.
So stabilization is getting anywhere, I guess. I mean, not only the whole camera stabilization with gimbals or mechanical stabilizers
Yeah.
like Glidecam, it also, I think sliders are everywhere right now.
Sliders are
Yeah.
everywhere.
I mean, if you looked back, I think when I was in film school, those were not around. We had
Right.
to build tracks even
I
for
sat
half
on
a meter.
I used to sit on a wheelchair for my student.
Yeah, I
films
did
and just
that
get
too.
pushed around. Yeah.
I did that too. But sliders is something I came in contact with very late. In fact, when we were doing the Mosaic of Life with Rodney Charters,
Yeah.
I was going, what's that? And
You didn't even know
I
it?
know I
Really?
have two on my own, so I never used them. I always used Dolly, the big stuff, from that's because I started with Glidecam SP.
Right.
I still own like 3 cameras, museum kind of things by now. But things change so fast. It's
Yeah, those
and-
rails come from machine centers.
absolutely
That company
yeah.
was like, "Wow, you guys all want this for video?
Yeah.
We're happy. We
Yeah,
already have it.
yeah,
It's been
yeah,
used it for machine centers for years."
Yeah.
So
That
Yeah.
came with
Yeah.
the DSLR rigs
Exactly.
because they're so lightweight.
say so.
right?
Yeah.
So you can't do that
yeah,
with
Canon
a big,
drove all that business.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
really.
And I think Canon back to Red because I'm a bit into Red.
Sure.
They kind of started all this with making.
Oh, it
bringing
pushed
Canon-
everybody. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Canon was like, we
what?
also make digital cameras. Why don't we do movie cameras as well? And that's where it started. So they
The
did
funny
lots of
idea is
marketing.
they didn't have a clue. I mean, the Canon photo division was
Right.
on a different island of Japan as a video division. And
Yeah.
the photo guys were like, oh, the processing in our camera is fast enough to actually record
Yeah,
video.
because
Let's
what-
just put it in.
Yeah.
They didn't talk to their corporate
Wow.
headquarters.
Yeah,
They put it
They're
in.
too big. I guess they're
And
too big.
then the video guys in their company were like, why are you doing this? Probably, it's like because
Because
they
Jim-
sold the camera
yeah.
for the same price
Yeah.
they would have done
Yeah.
if you didn't do
They
video.
killed the EX1.
Because
probably.
I guess Jim Jannar
Oh, he
eventually
was-
he started off with I want to make the best still camera.
I'm going
in
to change the
world.
world. Yeah.
And then he we can probably also shoot motion, and that was the birth of that idea. So
Wasn't it
Canon actually should have had that idea way earlier than Red
Yeah.
had because they already had
they were
had
video
all in
too.
place.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, they weren't
right.
just still.
Thanks for watching this segment of this episode of Cinema 5D on the Couch. Thanks to our sponsors, G Technology, Rode Microphones, Movidium.com, Film Convert, and FNV. And if you want to see more from our guests, Frank Meerbach, Lawrence Richards, and David Stevens, please tune in for the next segment. Thanks for watching.